back, and we welcome back Rob Maness. He's a retired U.S. Air Force colonel, decorated combat veteran, author, and political commentator. During his military career, he received numerous honors, including 2 Legions of Merit and, of course, the Bronze Star for combat leadership. He later ran for the U.S. Senate there in Louisiana and now hosts the Rob Maness Show. And while leading grassroots and political initiatives through Iron Liberty Group and Gator PAC, he's also the author of a fascinating book called What Can You Do About It? And there's a picture of the cover of that book on the screen. What Can You Do About It? Colonel, good to see you again, friend. How are you?
Hey, Perry. Thanks for having me on. It's good to see you.
Thanks for your time. You know, the president gave a primetime speech, and it had to do with overall election integrity. I think it was also some pressure on 5 Republicans in the Senate to pass the SAVE Act. Colonel, what's your view of this subject?
Well, I think the president was right on target to get this data out into the public. It was classified, really overly classified, and kept classified for the wrong reasons. And the reason is what's most striking about this, and that is to keep from the American people that the Chinese Communist Party was the biggest bad actor in previous elections, like the 2020 election, in trying to influence our elections, as opposed to the public story, which was about Russians and those kinds of things. And we know the Russians spent like $100,000 on social media ads, and that was about it. But the Chinese, they hacked into our election data. They have 220 million voter records, and I'm sure that they used it.
All right, this opens up the door for a lot of questions. How did they do this? How did China do this?
What, how did they get the voter records?
Yeah.
Well, probably through various means. You know, in the political world, political action committees, campaign committees, political parties, we can get access to voter data, usually have to pay for it in some way or another. So the Chinese could have done it that way. They probably used various methodologies in order to cover their tracks, going through shell companies that look like American companies and those kind of things. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is if they have almost all or near or all of our voter information files, and they can marry it up to previous targeting of individuals in this country and put that information together, you can do all kinds of things with that. And that's what groups like I've been part of that have been opposed to having TikTok being live in our country, because the Chinese use it as a collection system on individuals' data. So when you combine that much information and get down to that level of precision, you can do a lot of things with it. We saw tens of thousands of fake driver's licenses being mailed from China into the United States, Perry. And that's one of the things that you can do with that type of information is create driver's licenses. And it's not a very big leap from driver's licenses to be able to falsify ballots in the mail-in ballot systems, especially in some of these states where they have universal mail-in ballots and they do no voter identification checks.
Yeah. Okay. So we've known this. We covered it up. Did we cover it up?
Yes, we covered it up. Not just covered it up, but as you look at the documents that have been released, and that's one of the things that I just want to comment about the president's speech. He didn't make it about the 2020 election. He made it about declassifying the documents, and he told people in his speech, we're making the documents we're declassifying available at whitehouse.gov. I want you to go look at them. Don't believe him, he said. He said, go look at the documents. And some of the things that we've seen in those documents is striking. One is a senior FBI leader saying that she is running a shadow government and driving people to hide information about elections in China from the president of the United States in the presidential daily brief. Come on, Perry. The presidential daily brief is the most important piece of information that the president gets every single day because it tells him about the current threats to the nation and to the American people and what is actively happening with those threats. To hide that information from the president of the United States that not only does a disservice to the president, but actually is an attack on the American people, because the president was elected by the American people to serve us, to secure our liberty, to make sure we're safe in our homes, to make sure that our country is treated fairly around the world, all kinds of things and reasons why we elected him. So really, it's an affront to the American people by those that are not elected in the United States government, which are supposed to be, remember the term public servants? Mm-hmm. I don't think most of the folks that serve in the federal government really think that way anymore.
Is that a treasonous act?
Treason? We'd have to look at the Constitution from that perspective. Is it sedition? Absolutely. Okay. Is it a seditious conspiracy? Absolutely. Okay. It's a seditious conspiracy because this individual that I was just talking about is in the FBI, and they're working with individuals from the National Security Agency, the Central Intelligence Agency, the Department of Homeland Security, and they're discussing keeping information from the President of the United States that is critical to the security of our and integrity of our elections. And as you know, if folks have no confidence in our elections, we really don't have a republic, do we?
No. Couple more questions here, Colonel. Given this exposure, what security do we have from further foreign interference, even going into this midterm?
Well, and that's the problem, and the reason why this act called the Save America Act, which is languishing in the United States Senate, is supported by even 71% of Democrats support the Save America Act because it requires a simple thing, that you have to show ID that proves you're a citizen of the United States before you can vote. Without that, we're at risk. Without going back to paper ballots and hand counting, we're at risk. The vulnerabilities in the digital machines that are used by many states around this country have been talked about ad nauseum for years. And if you go look in these documents, those documents that have just been declassified continue to further lay out exactly what is going on with those machines and connects them to places like Venezuela, where Smartmatic machines were originally started, and how the Venezuelans used them to change votes and increase votes for one particular candidate. And the suspicion is, and the documented suspicion of our intelligence agency is, they probably use the same type of techniques in American elections because we have the same machines from companies like Smartmatic or Dominion and those kind of things.
Okay, so we're heading towards the midterms coming up in November. Most states will have a cutoff date as to when you can register. In the meantime, you got 5 senators, or Republican senators in the Senate, dragging their feet on this. There seems to be a deadline coming here real quick to get the SAVE Act through in order for it to be implemented into this next midterm at the state level. Do you have any idea what, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out what's in the mind of these 5?
Well, some of them are personal. John Cornyn, Tom Tillis, those are personal vendettas against the President of the United States. And, you know, it tells you something about these individuals that have taken an oath to support and defend the Constitution, that are supposed to be in the Senate representing their states. They're elected by the people, but they're still supposed to represent their states. And I just mentioned that 71% of Democrats support the Save America Act, and over 84% of Republicans support the Save America Act. So the big question is, what are they doing? That's those 2 individuals. That's exactly what they're doing. The other 3, look, Lisa Murkowski, you've never been able to count on her to be a reliable vote in favor of the American people. As a matter of fact, she was put in office, appointed at first, I believe, and then put in by Alaska, poorly choosing this mechanism called ranked choice voting, which is anti-American and anti-democratic in and of itself and should be abolished in this country. and the others are probably trying to get something out of it, and there's room to maneuver, but you still have the other three. And that's a challenge and it's a problem. And it's because they don't really have the interests of the American people and the future of the country at heart. They're looking at their own self-interest, and that's unfortunate.
You think there's any purple Democrats that could swing over?
Well, we might get John Fetterman. I think he's probably amenable, but highly unlikely these days, especially with the threat that they're getting from their left, from the communists that are defeating them in their primaries. And you're about to see that happen again over the next few weeks.
Yeah. All right, let me take a quick break here. Check out the Colonel's book. I think you'll find it to be a fascinating read. What can you do about it? There's a picture of the book there, available online. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. What an honor to have back with us today. Retired Colonel Rob Maness is with us. And Colonel, I apologize twice. I've messed up the title of your book. I apologize for that. Let me get this straight. What you can do about it. There it is. And where can they get it?
You can get it at robmaness.com, and there's a bonus chapter page there, so /bonus chapter. You can download the bonus chapter for free. You just sign up, and there's a banner ad on there you can click, and it takes you to Amazon. You can get the hardback, paperback, and Kindle versions.
Okay, what you can do about it. I apologize for that. Your thoughts on the loss of Senator Graham?
I think it's a big loss for our country. Look, I will not deny it. I politically disagreed with Lindsey Graham on a lot of things. But I think folks are seeing when you find out that he didn't become a millionaire off of the contracts and those kind of things that he was voting for and the spending he was voting for and those kind of things. He actually was a man of integrity that believed in this country, even though I might have disagreed with him on some issues. He loved the country, and he worked until the moment he died, really, on behalf of the people that put him in office and the American people around this world. And I think other than President Trump, he was probably one of the hardest working men in the government of the United States for many, many years.
We had a report earlier in our news this morning that, and I'm going to do this by memory, $100 million they stopped going to dead people. That reflected 880-something check distributions over the course of time that totaled up to about $2.7 billion going to dead people. We saw DOGE. We saw the corruption of our government with money inside and out. It's been exposed. I guess a couple of questions. Is it really being addressed? Apparently it is if they're going to stop paying those things. Do you think the American people get it?
I think the American people get it, Perry. The problem is I don't think the American politicians that have the power to change things in a dramatic way, in a very fast way, get it at all. DOGE is effectively gone. Elon was asked to come in. He supported this president. He came in and set up DOGE, and they found all this stuff, and now he's gone. And his team is pretty much suppressed, from what I can tell. We keep finding these fraud efforts and those kind of things, but we never see the actual legislation that stops the money flow and then removes it from the budget. There's two actions that have to happen. You have to stop the money flow, and then it's got to be removed from the budget, or it'll come back to life, because our Congress likes to use these things called continuing resolutions instead of passing the appropriations budgets that they're supposed to pass every year. And that's pitiful. That is pitiful, because the American people see it and we're disappointed. And, there are things going on like that at the fraud level. The New Jersey governor just had to admit that over 6,600 illegals, non-citizens, had been registered to vote in New Jersey, and 400 of them had actually voted. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of election fraud that we know is out there, and we're told incessantly by our media and our politicians, no, it's not real. Yeah, it might happen, but it's not enough to change anything. Well, that's baloney. Cheryl herself in New Jersey was elected in a questionable election. From my perspective, I worked on the Jack Ciattarelli campaign for several weeks with folks that I know up there. So we've got to get at that fraud. And I'll just tell you one other thing, Perry. There's an act called the Taking Care of America's Veterans Act right now that half of the veterans in the country are fighting against it being passed, even though it will fix President Trump's community care access for veterans and make it a lot easier for disabled veterans to get the medical care that they so desperately need, because VA hospitals are poorly manned and the care is just not that available. But the reason why they're fighting it is because the Republicans, what's called pay-go rules, are being used to take benefits, is what they're saying, take benefits away from other veterans. I don't believe that's true, and I support the Take Care of American Veterans Act. But think about all the billions of dollars you just mentioned, the billions that we know about in the Somali fraud up in Minnesota, the billions in the Medicare and Medicaid fraud that Dr. Oz and his team and Vice President Vance have all identified around this country, billions and billions of dollars. And our veterans have to fight over scraps to make sure that the bills that they need passed, that should have been passed years ago, are able to get passed. It's ridiculous what's going on in this country. And the American people understand it, but the politicians with the power absolutely don't get it. And it's time to remove a lot of them from office and replace them. And that's why I wrote this book, What You Can Do About It. It starts at the local level. Look, this New Jersey issue with voters, that's a local and state issue. And a lot of states, especially blue states, have these what's called motor voter laws to automatically register people to vote. Those should be abolished, but they have to be abolished at the state and local level. And that's where you come in, folks. As Americans, you can stand up and have an individual contribution by starting to organize and get this job done and remove these laws from the books so that we're back to normal. And you have to go show up and register to vote and prove who you are.
Well said. Again, the book, What You Can Do About It. Colonel, what's your 30,000-foot view of what's going on in Iran?
Well, the Iranians they have no honor, as the president has said. Those of us that have been fighting them for 47 years and being attacked by them for 47 years know that. And I appreciate the president trying to end the conflict and save as much infrastructure on behalf of the Iranian people that want to be free and prosperous and not be a danger to their neighbors or to us or our allies. But the Iranians can't keep their word. And I agree with what the president's doing. He's pushed the throttles back up on the war. And eventually we will kill enough of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, who is in control of this situation over there from an Iranian perspective. Eventually, we will degrade them and deplete their personnel enough to where the Iranian people will be able to rise up and take their country back once and for all from this despotic regime.
Both Israel and the United States says that Iran cannot have a nuke. The question I keep asking, can't quite seem to get the answer to. How do we do that?
Well, we have ways to do it that can completely eliminate all of their infrastructure and capabilities to do that, but it requires the ultimate decision in ultimate destruction, and only the United States of America has the ability to do that. I hope we don't have to go that far. The ideal situation would be for the Iranian people to let America come in and take control of the enriched uranium and remove all of the machinery and infrastructure and the material itself so that it's under the control of people that are sane, that are not going to fire a missile into Europe or at American bases down in Diego Garcia, like the Iranians have demonstrated that they will do, or worse yet, fire nuclear-armed missiles at their friends and neighbors in the region. or even worse than that, put it on a ship in a container and try to launch one into the United States of America or into one of our allied countries like Israel. That would be the beginning of a conflict that is very, very difficult to end if we ever allow that to happen. And unfortunately, the Iranian leadership are not rational actors. You know, even the North Koreans are rational actors under the standards of nuclear deterrence and the use of nuclear weapons, but the Iranians are not. And that's why we have a vital interest in not ever letting them have a nuclear weapon.
Do you have a feel for how close the situation may be where the citizens can rise up and take over?
I do not. Unfortunately, that's one of the things that I'm most concerned about throughout this entire Epic Fury operation is I was hoping to see news of the resistance forces that I know are inside the country increase in the arms they're able to get so that they can start conducting operations on their own. And we just haven't seen that develop yet. It may be so dark in the deep in the classified world that the public information just isn't going to come out. But I doubt it because we would hear something about it. And I haven't heard anything about a resistance operation since just before Epic Fury started. And there was one against the Ayatollah's compound.
One other question that leans on your military experience and acumen, and that is our forces have been over there a long time. Is fatigue a factor?
Well, it depends on what you mean by fatigue. You know, we've had forces there before Epic Fury started, but we've increased our aircraft carrier battle groups. We've put 2 amphibious combat groups in the water over there. And what the problem is those ships have maintenance cycle requirements. For instance, one of the ships we initially put over there, aircraft carriers, had been operating down in the Caribbean in the Venezuela operation, and it immediately put them on the backside of the curve from a maintenance cycle and redeploying those folks back home. But, you know, Americans are tough, and I think that the American military will be there as long as the commander-in-chiefs ask them to be there and capable of doing the mission. They prove it every day with what we see going on there with highly successful military operations that continues to degrade the Iranians' capability. And while they may be able to fling a missile here or there, and unfortunately kill Americans even like we saw this week, and I'm praying for those families. I understand exactly where they're at, having been a commander who's risked my own life and had 5 people's lives risked too. It's understandable, and we're heartbroken about that. But the Iranians have very little capability left, and it's only a matter of time at this point.
Colonel, thank you. Thank you for your time. We value it greatly. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out the book, What You Can Do About It. There's a picture of the cover of the book. You can go to robmaness.com. That's his website. You can click on there and click over into get the copy of the book. And that's Rob Maness, MANESS.com. And you can check it out there. Colonel, thank you, my friend. Blessings on you. Let's stay connected.
Thank you, Perry. Appreciate it.